Welcome to Barber Motorsports Park. It's time for the Radical Cup North America Series, and an amazing sight here this weekend. 37 cars will take to this 17-turn circuit, and of course made famous by that Alabama roller coaster from turn 2 up through to turn 4 and 5 into Charlotte's Web. Fantastic hairpin, and of course the chicane at turn 8 into Museum, and a very, very high speed section down through the back of the circuit, through turn 13 and around that long penultimate right-hander before we get into that final left-hander, ever so crucial, onto the front straightaway here at Barber Motorsports Park. Cars are in pit lane. We had a momentary delay, but we're expecting to go green here in just a moment. So all the radicals populated. And it was a big day yesterday of practice for the Radical Cup North America Series, as the green flag flies here and all 37 cars trundle out of pit lane. In the Platinum class, it was John Field who set the pace in practice 1, and certainly the track was very, very fast in the opening part of the day. A 1:22.8 was the benchmark for John Field. Mackay Stevens, though, extremely quick, and was only a couple of hundreds behind him, a 1:22.85 for him. He actually went faster in this afternoon session. He was one of the only drivers to do so. Most drivers finding the going a little bit tougher with the greasy circuit in the afternoon. 1:22.6 was the benchmark for the Platinum class. But Clint Field was right there as well, so we expect the entire 9 cars in Platinum to be very, very close. 18 cars, would you believe, in the Pro 1500 class, and it was Nick D'Orlando, one of the stars from the USF Series, coming across to Radical with Graham Rahal Performance. And whilst it was his teammate, Jordan Missig, who had most of the glory at the opening round at Sebring a month and a half ago, it was D'Orlando who was quickest yesterday, a 1:23.8. Raiden Nicol made some big news and raised a lot of eyebrows yesterday for Primal Motorsport. And Raiden, a young gun out of Georgia, he's been doing extremely well in the PSSA competition, racing a Radical SR10. He's been a champion in MX5 and all sorts of things. Very, very quick young driver. But he was certainly quick yesterday in his first time in the Radical Cup North America Series. A 1:23.9 was his fastest. Mike Ansaldi was the best of the gold class for a slightly older gentleman in the 1500s, 1:26.7. And it was Chris McMurray who set the pace in the 1340 class yesterday. And if you haven't caught it, Chris McMurray is doing a series, his Radical Journey, with Racer Magazine. You can learn a little bit more about these cars, the series, and the fact that Radical races all around the world. So everyone just jockeying for position, of course, that will be key in this session. A 25-minute session, 22 minutes remaining on the clock. And the key will be finding some space with so many cars around this relatively small circuit. You can see everyone just trying to hustle and get into a good position as Louis Schreiber looks to the outside around turn 14. Radical Hospitality Tent in the background, and certainly enjoying some views up there. All our VIPs and drivers and friends and family. It's lovely, as always, to be a part of this IndyCar event. So it's John Field, as perhaps can be expected, who has laid down the initial gauntlet, a 1:24.7. Chip Romer has done a 1:25.2. And then it's Raiden Nicol. Wow, a 1:27.1. So Nicol, the fastest of our Pro 1500 competitors. We'll look further back, and it's Matt Roma who's done a good job. 5th fastest overall, and you never know if, of course, a red flag comes out. Some of these opening laps can be very, very important to just set an indicative time, get something on the board. It's the McGoverns who are leading the charge in 13:40, although, as I say that, Chris McMurray's just gone fastest, I believe, and so has Ellis. So the Crown Concepts Apex Motor Club cars, very, very quick in Pro 1340. One to watch there is Suelio Almeida for Ryspec Racing. Of course, an online coach, someone that started iRacing and has been very successful at learning his craft in the sim world and is now applying it to the real world. And he should also be one to watch in Pro 1340. Now, we've mentioned 3 classes. The difference is the power plant, predominantly very similar chassis over all of the cars, but the Platinum cars using the SR10, Radical SR10, 435 brake horsepower, 380 foot-pound of torque, and a Ford EcoBoost engine powering that car. The Pro 1500's powered by a Radical RPE 4-cylinder engine. It's derived off a motorcycle power plant, would you believe, but completely rebuilt by Radical. And the 1500 designation is 1500 cc's. 1340 is 1340 cc's. So 3 classes, multi-class racing, preparing these drivers for what may lay ahead in their sports car career. So John Field from Louis Schreiber now. At the top of the charts is Mackay Stevens, who was quick yesterday, has gone 3rd fastest in the Platinum class. Ray Nicole still leads the Pro 1500s, 124.7 from Jordan Missig, Nick D'Orlando. Another one to watch, and another one from the USF series is Danny Dushelski and Missig, D'Orlando, Dushelski, all running Formula cars as well. And Missig's just put in a huge lap, a 123.9 to actually go 3rd fastest overall, so he's right in the thick of the Platinum class cars. Chip Roma doing well. Ryan Booth as well. I would say, based on the timing screen, it might be that Jim Booth in the 62 is actually showing up as 92 at the moment. Jay Dermott was doing some testing, but I don't believe he's out there racing. Nevertheless, EVR Racing doing a solid job in their 2nd event of the season and 2nd event with Radical Cup North America. Something that is interesting is in Pro 1340, and that's Carl Fredrickson has done a really solid job. He's 2nd fastest at the moment. 3rd fastest now. So in Pro 1340, Suelio Almeida has gone quickest with a 129.7. Then we're back to Keith McGovern, PJ Hyatt, and Blake McGovern. So it's interesting that Keith McGovern, Blake just coming off the back of winning a championship at Apex Motor Club. In fact, that was last weekend. I was out there to see him star. And in fact, we've got 2 Apex Motor Club champions because Chris McMurray won the gold class, and it was Blake who took up the silver. So he's stepped up from his regional competition out at Apex Motor Club in Arizona and is now fully in the thick of things with the National Radical Cup North America Series. So as we watch in that Dayglow car coming through. That was Wayne Williams, and we'll wait and see what the 57 can do. He was very, very quick last year in his debut season, swapped from the dirt to the tarmac, and is just going through Charlotte's Web there and stretching the legs of the SR10. You can see the difference in the power from those SR10s to the Pro 1500 machines. And Wayne Williams looks to be on a solid run. Of course, we'll wait and see whether some of that that traffic caused him any issues. Chris McMurray just going through shot, I think. And Spencer Schmidt, another one to look out for. He's a little bit further back than he would like at the moment. But Sam Schmidt's son, I think Sam had managed to keep him out of motorsport for quite some time, but all of a sudden Spencer wanted to go racing and chose the Radical Cup North America Series. So John Field is still the class of the field. And of course, John, no stranger to prototypes, having raced at Le Mans, won an American Le Mans Series championship. Of course, the privateer running with his son. And it's great to see John Field doing that again here in the Radical Cup North America Series. So we'll just pick up the cars as they come down through the S's. And that looks like a Ryspec car just in front of us. Perhaps Danny Jashelski. Jashelski certainly will be looking for a solid weekend here. He certainly found the competition tough at Sebring. Ended up on the podium a couple of times. Wasn't lucky enough to take the top step, but looked very, very racy. And of course, he duked it out until that final round at Laguna Seca last year with Nick Persing taking the championship only just. It came down to the final race, the final round of pit stops, and we do feature a mandatory pit stop here in the Radical Cup North America Series. So that will be race 3 on Saturday. Interesting that Mackay Stevens hasn't found the pace that he had yesterday. John Fields pulled it out of the bag, a 1:22 flat. Unbelievable pace from these Radical machines. Jordan Missig. And Ryan Booth just sets a fast one as well. So we mentioned John and Clint Field. Ryan Booth is running with his father as well. Lots of father and sons out there in the Radical Cup. Chip Roma and his son as well. And Ryan Booth, who actually won a Radical Masters Championship in Europe with his father in 2017, went on to run IMSA Lights, did a little bit of Formula cars in Asia and in Europe, and has been running rally cars more recently back on the tarmac, and has come to grips with these SR10 machines very, very quickly. A 1:22.9 to be second quickest in the Platinum class and overall. Louis Schreiber, solid job for him, third fastest at the moment. It's good for him, alongside Mackay Stevens for race 1, if we don't see any changes. Now Nick D'Orlando has just pipped Jordan Missig. And D'Orlando, that's only just happened, a 1:23.8 versus Missig's 1:23.9, and that's kind of what we saw at Sebring as well. The two Graham Rahal Performance drivers duking it out in qualifying, and then all 3 races. Have to go back to Raiden Nicole, who's 9th fastest overall, but is 3rd fastest in Pro 1500. Daniel Jashelski 4th in Pro 1500 at the moment from Matt Roma. And in Pro 1340, Just checking that, but it's PJ Hyatt who's topping the charts at the moment. PJ Hyatt for Rhino Racing with Team Stradale. PJ races in the Porsche Sprint Series as well. Has done some IMSA racing and is going strong here. In fact, he was quick the last time he ran a Radical at Barber. So obviously the combination of a Radical and this beautiful circuit is one that PJ likes. He's just done a 1:27.2. He's fastest in Pro 1340 from Suelio Almeida. And then we are back to Chris McMurray. So interestingly enough, McMurray, who's certainly the favourite for this championship, has some work to do. He was light years ahead of the competition out at Apex Country Club last week. Feeling very fit, talking about all the cycling that he does away from the racetrack. And certainly someone that, you know, doesn't let the fact that he's starting to get on in age stop him from being highly competitive in race cars. Same too with Jim Booth. Jim Booth, of course, Mr. McDonald's, and we thank McDonald's for their partnership with a series. Jim Booth owning a number of stores and has been a gentleman away from the racetrack, but every time he puts that helmet on, one of our older drivers in the field doesn't give an inch. So things have calmed down a little bit at the top of the charts. It's John Field from Ryan Booth, Louis Schreiber, Clint Field, Mackay Stevens. That's the top 5 on the grid. Then we're back to that Pro 1500 battle, and it's Raiden Nicol who's set another big lap. He is now fastest and will be on provisional pole with 9 minutes remaining in the Pro 1500 class. Now, what these drivers perhaps don't realise is there's a big McDonald's check on the line for setting as we have a car running wide. And who's that? That's Roma, I think, in the Stella Artois car. So all of a sudden, everyone's getting a little bit more racy with 8 minutes remaining. The Hankook tyres tend to come on as the session progresses. And it's pretty typical to see faster and faster lap times. Raiden Nicol now, the one to beat in Pro 1500 with a 1:23.7 from Nick D'Orlando. I tell you what, we're not racing at Road Atlanta this year. Raiden Nicol, this is effectively his home race, and he's putting on a show for all of his fans and the guys that have come down from Primal and Atlanta Motorsport Park as Wayne Williams rockets up to 5th fastest. We've also had Ryan Booth been eclipsed by Clint Field, who's gone 2nd quickest in the Platinum class. Further back, just looking here at Pro 1340, getting a couple of mixed messages here on the screen, but it looks like PJ Hyatt is 1:27.8, 1:27.2, and PJ Hyatt is fastest in Pro 1340 from Chris McMurray, so he's come up a little bit. Suelio Almeida has been relegated to 3rd fastest in the Pro 1340s. Blake McGovern is 4th. Keith McGovern 5th. Who will take the pole, and importantly, the points. 3 classes, 3 points up for grabs. And some other prizes as well. It's John Field who's sitting pretty at the top of the charts. And in the Platinum class, it's Raiden Nicol who's doing the business in Pro 1500 at the moment. And PJ Hyatt, what a superstar he is this weekend. That's He looked racy yesterday, but didn't have the pace of Chris McMurray and Swelio Almeida. So we'll wait and see what happens with these final 6 minutes. There's still plenty of time to set a good lap, but you can see the traffic out there. Everyone is vying for position. It looks like a race out there. We're just in qualifying. 3 wide down the front straightaway as Swelio Almeida tries to find a little bit of space. Everyone's really in the thick of an absolute melee out there as they head around and come down into the hairpin. It's like a slower car, Apex. That's the 158 of Mike Ellis. Mike joining us for the first time in the Radical Cup North America Series. Fantastic to have him part of the series this weekend. And there's that gold and black car, a rather menacing paint job for Primal Motorsport, Raiden Nicol, who is setting the pace in his debut in the Radical Cup North America Series. What a star of the future. Raiden Nicol has come in here with only a couple of sessions under his belt in the SR3 XXR, the latest iteration of the Radical SR3. And so far, he has put a little bit of a dent in the ego of the likes of Jordan Missing, Nick D'Orlando. The other one that's impressive at the moment is Evan Slater for EVR Motorsports. Evan Slater, 10th overall. And Danny Dashelski relegated. He's back in 5th, I think. So it's unlike Danny Dashelski. Very, very quick young gun as well. Matt Roma up there. Spencer Schmidt also. Michael Anzaldi still might actually be Jack Young, who's the fastest of our gold class competitors at the moment. I think it is. So Jack sits 16th overall. Jordan Missing's just gone through, but he was on a slow lap. He still can't find the pace to eclipse Raiden Nicol and take the pole. Nicol, oh, it's D'Orlando, so Missing couldn't do it, but D'Orlando has, so Graham Rahal Performance back on top of the charts in the Pro 1500 class, a 1:23.7. And there's only hundreds of a second in it between all top 3 drivers in Pro 1500 at the moment. But D'Orlando has found something to pip Raiden Nicol. Now, can he come back and do it? Do something as it goes red, so red flag. And haven't seen where that is, but an incident out on track. And I think that will mean that it's game, set, and match here at Barber Motorsports Park for qualifying in the Radical Cup North America Series with 2 minutes remaining on the clock. I don't think they are going to get going again. And that will mean John Field, the provisional pole sitter in the Platinum class. Nick D'Orlando will take the provisional pole in Pro 1500. And then we have to go all the way down. Such is the 37 cars on the timing screen. To PJ Hyatt, 25th fastest overall, but he is the pace setter in Pro 1340. Yeah, the checkered flag has been shown. It's actually, so the red flag is still out. Checkered flag is being shown as well at the starter's stand. And there we are. So it's John Field from Mackay Stevens who found some pace in those dying moments. We didn't see that From Clintfield, Ryan Booth, Louis Schreiber, and Wayne Williams rounding out the top 6 overall. That's also the top 6 in the Platinum class. Then it's Nick D'Orlando who's set the pole, or taken the pole from Raiden Nicol and Jordan Missig in Pro 1500. And Danny Jashelski relegated a little bit further back. Jim Booth also amongst it. Matt Roma as well. So there's we have it. The unofficial results of qualifying. And Jordan Missig in 9th. But 3rd quickest in Pro 1500. So Nick D'Orlando there taking that with a 123.73, and then Raiden Nicol a 123.79. So unfortunate for the number 93 driver, Raiden Nicol. He thought he was going to take a maiden pole position in his first appearance in the series, but it wasn't to be today. And then we have to go all the way back. In fact, none of those drivers are in Pro 1340, such is the nature of this grid. Jack Yang's done a good job. Austin Riley always in the thick of it as well. Mike Anzaldi there, 19th fastest. And then we have to go all the way back to PJ Hyatt, 26. Overall, a 127.2. Swelio Almeida and Chris McMurray. That's the top 3 in Pro 1340. So there we have it, folks. The Radical Cup North America Series from Barber Motorsports Park. And we'll be back in a little while for race 4 of our championship. Of course, the first race of 3 this weekend here at Barber.